You're listening to Barbell Logic, brought to you by Barbell Logic Online Coaching, where each week we take a systematic walk through strength training and the refining power of voluntary hardship. You are listening to a special edition of the Barbell Logic podcast, and I am here with a special guest. You all know and love a friend of the podcast, has been for several years. Mike Reed is here with me from MicroGainz. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you so much for having me.
So everyone's listening to this. We're recording this the day before Thanksgiving, but everyone's going to hear it the day after Thanksgiving, known as Black Friday, the craziest day in the year. And we just wanted to talk a little bit. One, I wanted to have kind of a Thanksgiving episode, and I know it's a day late, but I was really reflecting over the last couple of days what 2020 has been like for us, and I'd like to hear a little bit from you as well there. You know, it's been crazy. I know it's not lost on me that 2020 has been a catastrophic and devastating year for a lot of people around the globe. And so I am in a super thankful state right now that 2020 has been a great year for us, both personally and professionally, in that, you know, we got through a big lawsuit and we have been able to weather that storm, and then also weather the storm of COVID and the economic crisis. And I'm thankful every day that I get to work at a job that I have such tremendous value in, and that I get to bring value to our clients and our coaches and improve their quality of life. And, you know, I wish that I had more to do with that than I do. I think that I've just been surrounded by a great group of people and have been blessed. And so super thankful that I get to work from home every day. Our life hasn't changed much. You probably know this. Our listeners know I got COVID, and my family got COVID really early. Like I think I was third in the state of Missouri. Got it probably February 27th or 28th, and was diagnosed, I think, on the 7th or 6th of March. And of course, that was very early. And so weathered that storm. And honestly, that's kind of been a blessing too, because once we got through COVID, we feel healthy and don't feel any negative side effects from it. And so we haven't really had to worry about getting COVID over the last year because we're immune right now. And at least we think we're immune. And so it's been good. You know, we homeschool our kids and I work from home anyway. And so life just hasn't changed that much for us. And I don't want to take that for granted. Sometimes the status quo is something that you can take for granted. But in a year like 2020, when no one else is experiencing that, I'm very thankful. So I'm thankful to our listeners, those of you out there listening who have followed us on all the different channels that we're on, and our clients at Barbell Logic. Man, they're incredible clients. I was thinking about this the other day, how rare we have to deal with just a problem client. I don't know how often you deal with that, where people, you know, I see sometimes you'll post like somebody sends something back and says it was damaged, and you're like, this is perfect. Like it's, you know, it's like you're looking for the damage. We don't deal with that very often. And my staff is incredible. They're just incredible. And so same thing. I mean, it's just when you run a company of our size, you know, typically you're kind of putting out fires all day and dealing with drama, and we just don't deal with much of that. And so I'm incredibly thankful this year for the status quo. It's beautifully boring. My life is beautifully comfortable. And so how about you? How's 2020 treated you?
So I have a unique perspective because I was, as many of you know, I was working in the grocery store business, and COVID hit back in March. And, you know, obviously we're starting to sell hand sanitizer slowly. Then it was the toilet paper rush. And then it was an all out, you know, destroy the store, people waiting outside every day for weeks to get in when we, you know, would open. And it was very intense. You know, some of the biggest sales days we've ever done in the history of the store that I was working at. You know, in the beginning, you weren't wearing masks. No one knew what to do exactly. We were just trying to fill shelves as best we could. And obviously, as it progressed, you know, things started to level a little bit. And consequently, my company, MicroGainz, went up a lot. So I was dealing with working that 50 hours a week in the grocery store, and started working 20 hours a week on MicroGainz. Like all my days off were spent, you know, preparing for the next day, filling orders and things like that. It worked out to my advantage. We've talked about it before. My products are made in the USA. Well, a lot of those products were like the made in China products and things like that. The supply chain started to kind of crumble because the demand just overwhelmed the supply. Well, my suppliers in the United States stayed open, and I was able to continuously get plates. I got micro plates whenever several of my competitors sold out for a while, and that definitely benefited MicroGainz. So very thankful for that. And as a consequence of that, I was actually able to finally quit my job. Scott asked me on the last time I was on the podcast, which was about a year ago, when I was going to quit. And that moment was July 4th, was my last day in grocery business. So
were you seriously considering it then when Scott asked you, or were you like, I don't know, like maybe this will happen one day, but
I
Seems a little,
yeah, it was tough. Like I think I've always considered it, but it's like I wasn't quite doing the sales I wanted to be doing to feel comfortable leaving a full
sure,
time job, knowing that my sales would probably go up if I quit. But
sure.
it definitely felt better this time. I was just honestly overwhelmed of waking up, staying up till midnight, working on orders just for the next morning to have more. My wife every day was working on them just so we could maintain it. Like
Sure.
it had to happen.
Sure.
And then I quit and my sales still continued to climb and they're still actually climbing incrementally, even in November here. October was the best month I've ever had. And then
Wow.
November is trending to be the best month I've ever had. So, COVID, you don't want to say it, but it positively affected MicroGainz in the weightlifting equipment industry.
Yeah.
If you were able to stay in stock,
Yes.
you were really positively affected by that.
Yeah, it's been interesting to watch. I've paid pretty close attention to the manufacturers and equipment companies that are in the United States. Of course, most of those are not manufacturing their own equipment and not manufacturing their equipment in the United States. And so the ones who haven't have really struggled. And it's awful because you're leaving revenue on the table. When you can't accept money, that's a real problem,
Sure.
right? So when you can't hey, we just don't have it. But even companies like Rogue and, and a handful of other companies in the United States have struggled with keeping things in stock because, at this point, almost everyone has, well, certainly a far greater percentage of people have moved to training at home because the gyms have been closed, at least for part of the year. And now we're kind of seeing a second wave of closures. We're seeing some of that with our clients who are now, they stayed at home and kind of faithfully did their home workouts and then got back to the gym and they were doing great for several months. And now the gyms have reclosed and they're back at home. And that's difficult. One of the things I was thinking about with MicroGainz, with the fractional plates. And so most of you are probably familiar with MicroGainz, but MicroGainz, which is micro and GAINZ, they are fractional plates. So you actually have 5s and 10s and 2.5s and stuff now, right? You have a little bigger plates, but your wheelhouse has always been the plates that are less than 2.5 pounds. So kind of 1.25,
Correct.
1 pound, half pound, 3/4 pound, things like that, so that you can make those smaller jumps for most people, especially on lifts like the press or smaller, tricep extensions, rolling double extensions, curls, things like that, where a 5-pound jump is too big of a jump to make. It's been really nice to have those fractional plates, and they're our favorite fractional plate. And they were our favorite fractional plate before we ever worked together. It was one of the reasons that we originally reached out and started working together, is that we loved the quality of your plates. And so it's interesting when I've thought about fractional plates and MicroGainz in general, is that the value of those for people who train at home and for people who train at their gym. And it's actually one of the few places, if you think about it, that's a piece of equipment that people need regardless of where they train. So, you don't need a barbell if you go train at a barbell gym, because the barbell gym provides the barbell. But a lot of those gyms, most of those gyms don't have fractional plates. And so we encourage people to get those and put them in their gym bag. They can just take them to the gym with them. And of course, if you're training at home, you need it. So I was actually thinking the other day that even people who have continued to train at a gym still need those plates. But obviously people are training at home, and there's really very few pieces of equipment that are like that. So I can see how that would benefit you guys for sure.
Yeah, it's helped out a lot. I mean, you can call the microplate kind of pandemic proof. And then everybody needed that. Once again, some of my competitors fell off the wayside. So I just kept on selling them, was able to maintain that stock. And then, like you mentioned, I added some other sizes, the 2.5, the 5, and the 10, just to try to get in on, I mean, a lot of it was sold out. So
how are you on the 2.5s, 5s, and 10s still? Are you able to keep them in stock as well, or are they a little tougher?
No, I am. They're made of a slightly different process. They're laser cut steel. And so they're actually pretty thin. They're bigger, like 7 inches, 8 inches, and 10 inches, but they're really thin.
Yep.
And then I print the logo and the weight on them. And the only tough thing, honestly, has been I've been able to get them. It's just I've been selling them pretty fast, so it's hard sometimes to keep them in stock because I'm not reordering fast enough sometimes. So
sure.
But other than that, it has done really well. And they're still, like my other plates, they're still made in the USA. So even the plates that are coming back in stock, still made in China. These ones are still 100% made in the USA, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that. I have some clients that are working at home, so you're hearing this. Order some of those 10s and 5s because we need some of those to be able to add to what we have. So we've got clients that have borrowed barbells and they get like a set of 45s or a couple set of 45s. They might not get any change plates at all. And so it's like, okay, maybe they've got a 25. And so it's like, okay, we can only make 25 and really 50-pound jumps and 90-pound jumps is all you can make. And so to be able to grab a few of those is really nice, especially even now when the equipment is still very hard to come by. And you talked about, I was thinking yesterday about my previous careers were as a public school teacher and then, of course, a gym owner. And gosh, I'm thankful that I'm not doing either one of those in the middle of my life. Would be very different right now. Yours the same if you were still managing a retail grocery store chain. We went to Sam's yesterday and there was no toilet paper, and there were no paper towels, and there were no turkeys
Jeez.
3 days before Thanksgiving. At Sam's, I thought, this is crazy. I've never seen anything like this. We had to go to some different, and we didn't need toilet paper or paper. Well, we need paper towels a little bit. And then it's back to rationing. When we get to the grocery stores, they only were selling the single rolls of paper towels, of like the generic paper towels, like one roll. And it was limit one per customer. So you could only buy one roll. And then they had the 4 packs of toilet paper, and that was it. That's all you could get. And so it's still kind of crazy out there, and definitely thankful that we're able to do this. And then, talk a little bit about, for me, I feel like we're able to provide a tremendous value to our clients. And do you feel the same thing? Like, I know you've found this niche that probably almost everybody kind of finds the niche almost accidentally, but then you're really filling a hole, a void that people need. When we get new clients that sign up, most of them don't know that plates exist that are smaller than 2.5s. And one of the very first things we say, we're like, well, you need shoes, you need a belt, and you need fractional plates. These are the 3 things you really need. And really, they need shoes and fractional plates first. Then we tell them, like, hey, by a month in, we're going to need a belt. And so are you able to sort of replace what you did at the grocery store from a value perspective and go, man, we're able to bring really good value to our customers?
I think so. The plates that I've been selling, they've always been like a competitive price. They've been made in the USA. It's not something that like you're spending a whole lot more money on, like Rogue fractional plates, where they're probably double the price of mine.
Sure.
You're still getting that value. They're super accurate. They last forever.
Yep.
And I stand behind everything. You get your product super fast. Like, I think a lot of people are used to ordering from a website and it takes like a week to get there. I get stuff I ship next day.
Yep.
And then I'm available all the time on like Instagram and Facebook for, hitting me up in the DM and talking to me, or customer service and things like that. Like, I stand very much behind my product. And I think it's helped a lot of people out. People that are, like you said, the more and more people that are finding out about fractional plates. MicroGainz, I wanted to be that brand that was synonymous with micro plates. So when you buy a Band-Aid, it might be a generic, but you call it a Band-Aid. You buy
That's right.
tissue, you call it Kleenex.
It's a Kleenex. That's right.
And that's what I wanted to be, sort of like with micro plates, is people, you have a set of MicroGainz, like just everyone knows it's a micro plate.
Sure.
And as far as I know, I'm still the only brand out there that is really just cycled around fractional plates. There are other options, but I think I'm the only brand that really built it on fractional plates, micro plates. And I think that people are really understanding that, especially when you go on my Instagram or my Facebook and you see every day that I have that like kind of post about the entrepreneurial journey, what I'm doing every day, and that kind of a thing. So they can see it like in real life. Hey, I'm working on my garage, my basement, to make sure this is happening for you guys, and things like that. I think people really appreciate that.
Yeah, I agree. It's wild when you can find your niche in a niche and you can still make a really good living for yourself. So it would be interesting to go to like a Christmas party with you and have somebody go like, hey, what do you do? And you're like, well, I make the little plates that go on a barbell that are less than 2.5. And they're like, wow, that's very niche. You're like, yeah, but it works pretty good. Like, we've created a pretty good life for ourselves doing just that thing.
People would be surprised. I think a lot of people are surprised that it's that big when you hear about it, because like you said, a lot of people, your new clients that know weightlifting have never heard of plates smaller than a 2.5.
That's right.
And
yeah.
I was able to make a whole life about it. And it just, people didn't realize how big maybe that niche was.
Yeah. And I think some of that comes from the fact that literally every single person that recognizes that they need this, like, they don't have them at gyms.
Right.
And obviously, so, you build that home gym, you've got to buy all the equipment and fractional plates as part of that. But you go to a public gym, you're still going to need fractional plates. You're not going to have to buy a squat rack. You're not going to have to buy a bench. You're not going to have to buy a barbell. You're not going to have to buy big plates, but you're going to have to buy small plates, right? And so it's one of those things. It's like a weightlifting belt or a pair of shoes that everyone needs regardless of where they train. And I think that's also a big piece of it, is that your potential customer base is so much bigger. The ceiling there is so much bigger than it would be for somebody buying, just say, a squat rack. Like, people that have squat racks have to have their own giant home gym, and that's not the case for fractional plates. So pretty exciting. Congrats, by the way, on leaving the job.
Thanks.
One of the things I've talked to people when I do business coaching with them is sometimes it's hard to leave that job as the second job starts growing, as the one that you're an entrepreneur with, because you've got to leave the salary of the first job behind. And so whatever your base salary is at your main job, and then you've got your secondary entrepreneurial job that starts doing better and catching up, and your quality of life goes up because now you're actually making you're getting paid for 2 jobs. And then at some point, that entrepreneurial job is doing well enough. You're like, I think I can leave my first job. But a big piece of that is leaving that big chunk of salary behind. And so, it looks like you just hit the ground running. I think you probably did it at exactly the right time in the midst of COVID. Stress was probably insane at the grocery store, and you were able to take it and leverage the times, year 2020, and how crazy it's been. And It looks like you've just been trucking right along.
It worked out great. I say this a lot, that people will say, how did you quit your job during a pandemic? Which sounds crazy. People try to hang on to their job.
Yeah.
I quit my job during a pandemic,
Sure.
and I said, the first step is starting a business 4 years ago.
That's right.
And that's the big deal. It wasn't like it just happened. I had to build something up. I had to have a lot of things in place that I was able to handle the business, able to scale up and things like that. And that took several years to do. That took a lot of years of grinding with a main job to do.
That's exactly right.
And it's challenging for sure. And a lot of people quit, and you know that. A lot of entrepreneurs don't make it. And it's about that perseverance, having that focus and seeing it all the way through, because it's going to, we talked about it last year, like it's going to eventually happen. Like whether or not I was sure I was going to quit in a year or less or what, I was gearing up for it anyway.
Yep.
And you're right, leaving that job is scary. There's no question. But it worked out for me for the best and for my family.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. Tell us a little bit. You've got a Black Friday sale that's running. So first off, so this is going to run on Black Friday. The Black Friday sale is going to go through Sunday. So if you hear this in the next 4 days, it's going to be valid. If it's after that time period, we always have a connection with you where our listeners can use the discount code LOGIC, and it saves them, is it 10% off? Does that sound
10%
right?
10% off any item in the store. That's
and
right.
And that will go on forever. So if you're hearing this, it's 2021 and the Black Friday sale isn't going on anymore, because obviously it's nowhere near Black Friday, you can always use the discount code LOGIC. But for the next 4 or 5 days through Sunday, tell us about the Black Friday sale that's going on for 2020.
Sure. So starting at midnight, it'd be Thursday night, so it'd be Friday morning. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you can use the code Friday15 to save 15% off your whole order. So that's an extra 5% over what Barbell Logic listeners are already used to.
Excellent.
And as a special bonus, if you spend over $100, you can use the code Friday20 to save 20% off your whole order, which is pretty easy to spend $100. I mean, that's a set of fractional plates and maybe a set of 5-pound plates or something like that. You can get up to that $100.
Or a set of dumbbell plates.
Or dumbbell plates.
Fractionals.
Exactly.
I love those dumbbell fractionals. Those are awesome.
Thanks.
Because my biggest issue with dumbbells was that jumps are too big, but dumbbells are so expensive that buying dumbbells in 2.5-pound increment jumps, the 15, 17.5, 20, 22.5, 25, 27.5, that would be so ridiculously expensive.
Not feasible.
So now you can get a normal set of dumbbells and fractional dumbbell plates from MicroGainz. And you can take those smaller 2.5-pound jumps instead of making a 5-pound jump. And with dumbbells, it's very difficult to go often from like a 40 to a 45. So to be able to go from a set of 40s to 42.5 is really awesome. So I love those.
Yeah. So if listeners don't know exactly what that is, it's just a plate that actually clamps onto the handle of most dumbbells. And I sell them in 0.5 pound, 1 pound, and 1.25 pound increments. They leave plenty of room for your hand. You can clamp them on. And then, like Matt just said, you can have a 47.5 pound dumbbell whenever no one's going to buy a 47.5 pound dumbbell. You can effectively double your dumbbell set size for far less than actually buying all the dumbbells.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So microgainz.com, right? MicroGainz.com. Go on there over the next several days during Black Friday weekend. You can go out, sign up, use the discount code Friday15 if you spend under $100 to save 15%.
That's right.
Or Friday20 if you spend over $100, save 20% off your order. And after that, when you get to Monday, Tuesday, get into December, you can still use discount code LOGIC for 10% off as well for any of the MicroGainz. They make great stocking stuffers. They're great for anybody that trains, that's interested in training at home. Coaches should all have a set of these to bring. Like I use them for especially all of my middle-aged and older clients that desperately need it on things like the press, and most females need it on the press. And then I use them all the time for those accessory movements, like I said, for the dumbbells and the barbell curls, things like that, that for me, I'm also would rather take jumps from like 85 to 87.5 and not make a big 5-pound jump. So dude, thanks for being a friend of the podcast. And you're like becoming like John Goodman for Saturday Night Live. You're just like, we'll just have you on routinely and you just continue to be a guest host and come on. And so
sounds good.
Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving yesterday. And hey, you don't need to go out and shop for Christmas. Do it from the comfort of your own home and order all that stuff online. I don't think I've purchased one Christmas present in 5 years at a store. I will only buy stuff online. I refuse to do it. I'm not getting out there. Like my whole town is one of those like middle-sized towns, 200,000 people. And it's really like this beautiful, comfortable Midwestern city right up until you get to Thanksgiving. And then I do not want to leave my doors until January 2nd because it's like we have an influx of 2 million people in the city during the month of December. So stay at home, order some MicroGainz, buy some Barbell Logic online coaching for your friends and family. We are also excited. You guys probably heard the ad on the pre-roll about our new Barbell Academy that's launching today. The pre-sale's launching today, and it'll officially launch the first week of January. It'll come out. It's a complete online learning environment Barbell Academy. We're super excited. It's crazy cutting edge technology. You can learn at your own pace. You have access to it forever. And so you got lots of options there to just order Christmas gifts from the comfort of your own home. Sit on your couch, watch some television, turn on some Netflix, and order MicroGainz plates and Barbell Logic online coaching for your friends and family. Dude, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Good luck on the Black Friday sale.
Thanks.
And all things that are going on. Do you have any idea, last thing, of what the last day is, ballpark, that clients will be able to order, that customers will be able to order and still get their products by Christmas, if you had to guess?
I'd say probably, I ship everything post office, USPS flat rate boxes and things like that. I think the drop dead date's like the 20th of December,
Okay.
and it'll still get there by the 24th. So you have a ways to go, and I should be in stock of pretty much everything, even up until then. I don't think I'll have a problem with that. So
Perfect.
you can wait a little bit, but I mean, I tell you should do it this weekend because I mean, I don't offer a sale like this
Yeah, the deal's
entire
better.
year. So
For sure.
but
Absolutely. Go get it. MicroGainz.com, discount code Friday 15 for under $100, Friday 20 if it's over $100. Go get it today. Mike, thanks for being on the show.
thank you.
We'll talk to you soon, sir. See ya.
All right.